Thank you, Harlene, for accepting this conversation for the 30 Taos anniversary and to talk about the opportunity to know how the ICCP started and your initial work with Taos Institute as a founder. Would you please tell us a little bit about how was your start with Taos Institute and of course with the ICCP, an international program of collaborative and dialogical practices? Thank you, Harlene.
Well, first, congratulations, Taos Institute, on the 30th anniversary conference. What an accomplishment. Gee, Rocio, thanks for your questions. How did all this get started with the ICCP and the journal? Well, it began a long time ago when Harry Galicia and I read an article by Ken Gergen that had been published in the American Psychologist. And shortly thereafter, Harry went to the APA, American Psychological Association meeting, and he met Ken. And then the next thing I know, he comes back raving about Ken and that he's just really right in sync with what he wrote. And we were planning a conference and we said, well, let's invite him, of course. So we invited him and he came to our epistemology, psychotherapy, and pathology conference that we held in Houston, Texas in 1991. And I think the kind of love affair began then in terms of the ideas that Ken was bringing and the ideas that Harry and I were bringing fell in love. So then Ken was planning a conference around social constructionism and organizations in psychotherapy. And he invited me as a psychotherapy person, I guess one would say. And so at the end of the conference, we were having a celebratory dinner, the seven of us, that, including Ken, who had been helping with organizing and presenting at the conference. And at dinner, as the song goes, we said, why don't we get together and call ourselves an institute? We were just feeling passionate. We were feeling on a high in terms of the reception that the ideas that we were sharing with others were received and the wonderful questions that were asked that forced us to think. So those of us who were the founders of the Taos Institute became the board members. And as a board member over the years, I had been also associated, of course, and a founder of the Houston Galveston Institute. And Harry Galicia and I had written a paper, I think published the same year as Harry's Ken's APA paper, 1988, and it was called Human Systems as Linguistic Systems. And that was our first, probably international public debut of our work. We had been doing workshops all over for years as the ideas and the practices began to form and emerge and evolve. So then I had also created the International Summer Institute, and we were having a meeting and I was talking with some of my colleagues there and saying, we've really got to do something so that people can have more access to the ideas, the conceptual framework, and our practices. Because as I travel around doing workshops and people read some of the things I've been writing, they want more. But of course, most people could not travel all the way to Texas or spend the amount of time that it would take to really immerse oneself in the practice. So some colleagues and I, mainly colleagues from the Houston Galveston Institute and the Latin American community, formed what was called the International Certificate in Collaborative Practices. And we began with programs that had programs, meaning freestanding institutes and people who had been teaching similar ideas inspired by the practices of Tom Anderson, who had been visiting many of the Latin American countries for several years. So we started with 5 programs, and we now have 17 programs around the world. And we are very immersed in the Latin American community, and the community in Europe is still evolving. We have a brand new program in Slovakia, and we have 2 other programs in the making. So it's been a journey. It's been a collaboration with colleagues who are like-minded, I would say. We share similar ideas about the conceptual framework and similar ideas about the practice. And one of the things that I really like about the certificate program is that we designed it to be isomorphic with the conceptual framework of collaborative dialogic practices. That is, that although we have a board or a council, the administration is really handled by all of the program directors. And the program directors, although we have a template of strongly suggested curriculum, that each program can design their program to fit their creativity, their talents, and what their participants are looking for. So the programs are really not designed by the ICCP board or council, but by the local or regional program directors and their faculty. So this includes the amount of money that they charge participants for their programs, what they pay their faculty and themselves. All of this is individually and locally determined, that the broader ICCP or the board or the council does not have control over that at all. So I'm just delighted that I was just in Mexico with my colleagues, Rocio Chaveste from Kanankil Institute in Merida, Mexico, and Carla Bosco from Warsaw, Poland. Both are instrumental in creating this video and crafting the questions. So again, happy anniversary. Please feel free to email me or contact me with any kinds of questions that you may have about collaborative dialogic practice, particularly if you would like to learn more. So thank you very much, Rocio and Carla.
Well, and maybe a second question, and maybe the last because of the time. What about the International Journal of Collaborative and Dialogical Practices? Because it has been a very useful tool for those who are interested in teaching, learning, having conversations, and writing, and continue in dialogue with the others all around the world that are interested in the philosophical stance. Can you please let us know a little bit more about this international journal? Thank you, Harlene.
International Journal of Collaborative Dialogic Practices. That was formed shortly after we formed the ICCP. Again, because as I was traveling around and not only meeting people who wanted to learn more, but meeting people who were doing really, really interesting and creative work, and particularly in their own local context and cultures, and from whatever discipline was their primary home discipline. So I began being very interested in how can I share this work with others rather than telling a story about it when I did workshops. So again, at an ISI and Summer Institute, I talked with colleagues and we came up with the idea of having a journal. So the journal accepts papers that the work or the practice that is written about, I call it writing a story about your practice, is associated with collaborative dialogic practices. And it's a bilingual journal. It's in English and Spanish. We also invite authors around the world to submit. If you submit in your own language, your usual language, we will publish it as long as you also submit a copy in English. And if anyone's interested in learning more about the journal, just click on the link, which will accompany this video. And if you're interested in volunteering and helping, because we operate solely on a volunteer basis, whether that's in terms of reviewing articles, because we're a peer-reviewed journal, or that's in terms of translating or editing, please contact me and let me know. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
I am Sylvia London,
I am Neca Irma Rodriguez.
and we are co-directors of the ICCP at Grupo Campos Elíseos in Mexico City. Our interest in creating a program to bring collaborative dialogic practices to different institutes around the world led us at Grupo Campos Elíseos to create a partnership in 2007 with the University of Guanajuato in León to pilot a program to teach collaborative dialogic practices. This program contained the basic bibliography for the first ICCP trainings around the world.
At Grupo Campos Elíseos, we had been teaching collaborative dialogic practices since 1998. Years later, we incorporate the ICCP as an independent study program. The training in collaborative dialogic practices includes reflecting processes. We have developed connections between collaborative dialogic practices and meditation, mindfulness, writing, and other artistic expressions as therapeutic means.
We can see the impact of teaching collaborative practices in our community in a variety of contexts: university programs,
schools, consultation and training for tutors and teachers,
training and consultation in single session at community clinics and EAPs,
consultation and training in dialogue and collaboration in organizations and businesses,
community services for cancer, eating disorder, addiction, and diabetic patients, and families with mental and physical disabilities, among others.
Since COVID-19, our training is online and has an international body of students. Thank you.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Josep Segui desde España, asociado al Taos Institute desde hace 12 años o así, y fundamentalmente desarrollo mi actividad en el contexto del Certificado Internacional en Prácticas Colaborativo-Dialógicas. Quiero desde aquí enviar un saludo y sobre todo una invitación a todos quienes nos veáis a participar durante estas jornadas de celebración del 30 aniversario del Taos Institute, que ya son años. Y bueno, adelantar un poco que las prácticas colaborativo-dialógicas han influido bastante, ¿no?, como emanantes un poco del construccionismo social propio del Taos Institute, como una forma ya no tanto de descubrir, sino de co-construir con multitud de colegas de todo el mundo nuevas formas, nuevas maneras de relacionarnos, de vivir en relación, ¿no? Pues nada, quiero enviaros un abrazo muy fuerte con muchos besos, con el deseo de vernos muy pronto y de pasar unos días muy felices y con mucha creatividad y generatividad. Chao.
Hello, I am Leticia Rodriguez from Enfoque Niñez, the ICCP in Paraguay, and we would like to join this celebration of the 30 years of Taos Institute, and we decided to do it together with FundaCes, with Adela and Daniela.
Hi, I am Adela Garcia, and we started to be member of the community, the ICCP community in 2012 with great joy, because we have been supporting the collaborative and dialogical practices for many years, and to belong to the ICCP community gave us the opportunity to be in contact, to grow, and to provide, to show our community the prestige and of the different actors in this community. And we could expand these ideas to different fields, because we have had students from journalism, linguistics, law professionals, etc. And so we have grown a lot, and we are very thankful for it. Would you like, Daniela, to share something?
Yes, well, I would like to say that I feel really grateful for being part of this community, to you, Adela, for sharing this opportunity of your knowledge and the opportunity to become the director of the program, to continue it, that you started with so much effort and generosity these years. And I would like to focus on something that for me is very important in our local communities, the way we work and we think. It's really a minority, and it is sometimes quite difficult, but we know that we can do a good job with these practices, and because they provide us a very human way of working and being and helping people in different difficult situations. And that's why we would like to really expand these practices and to share them with more people. And being part of this larger community gives us this feeling of not being lonely. And well, that's really important. I know, Leti, would you like to share something else?
Yes, I resonate with everything you shared, and I would like to add that for us, it has been also very important for legitimize what we believe and the philosophy of the work we do with other actors and authorities and in different projects, to invite more people to work together in a different way, in collaboration. And also to allow our students, our colleagues, to be in touch and exchange experiences, knowledge with the world, because this platform is in a way an opportunity also to access to a lot of resources and possibilities to work together beyond the frontiers and language. So this is really something that we cannot limit our possibilities to continue growing, and it is easier to grow together.
Maybe I would add that also these practices are, for me, and I would say for us in our community, the political practice, because it's the more democratic, is one of the more democratic ways to work, because of the allowing the voices of people to be present, and not just and to equilibrate the power among therapists and users and clients.
Yeah, it's like a really way of being with and working with others. And that's very powerful.
So, what we are going to do the next 30 years?
We'll see.
Enjoy this celebration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, soy Papusa Molina del Instituto Kanankil en Yucatán, México. ¿Qué ha significado para nosotros el tener el ICCP, o sea, el Programa Internacional de Certificación en Prácticas Colaborativo-Dialógicas? Creo que lo más importante para nosotros ha sido que nos ha permitido reforzar los conocimientos que nuestros estudiantes adquieren en nuestras maestrías, ya que estas están basados en principios socioconstruccionistas y colaborativo-dialógicas. Realmente el centro y el pilar de nuestra formación se encuentra en Harlene Anderson, quien con su generosidad ha apoyado desde su creación el trabajo del Instituto. Por otra parte, la certificación ha hecho que nuestros exalumnos, quienes se encuentran trabajando tanto en instancias públicas como privadas, ya sea en educación, en salud mental, en el desarrollo de políticas públicas o en el trabajo que se hace con mujeres viviendo en situación de violencia doméstica, ha hecho que esta manera de mirar el mundo, que esta manera de trabajar se extienda no solo en la ciudad de Mérida, sino en todo el estado de Yucatán. Esperamos seguir trabajando de la mano con el Taos Institute por muchos años más. Felicidades, Taos.
Yo soy Nelly Chong. Yo soy Roxana Ceballos. Somos las directoras del ICCP Perú. Nuestra afiliación a Taos empezó en el año 2018. Gracias a Harlene Anderson y a Adela Garcia. Quisiéramos contar cómo estas ideas del construccionismo social han impactado y han beneficiado nuestro trabajo en la clínica, así como en los cursos de formación y en nuestra práctica como docentes universitarias.
Vivimos en un país con una gran incertidumbre política, social y económica. Muchas veces escuchamos en nuestras clases en la universidad que esta generación de jóvenes cada día más pierde la esperanza en el futuro de nuestro país.
Pensamos que gracias a las ideas del construccionismo social estamos desarrollando prácticas humanizadoras que impactan favorablemente en nuestro trabajo con nuestros consultantes, así como con los profesionales que se forman con nosotros y, por supuesto, en la docencia universitaria.
Esto nos ha dado la oportunidad de pertenecer a una comunidad internacional donde es posible acompañarnos en esta incertidumbre y nos ha permitido también crear espacios con nuestros alumnos para poder pensar en ideas más esperanzadoras en este contexto tan incierto.
El impacto de estas ideas que vienen del construccionismo social y de las prácticas dialógicas en nuestra parte docente, sobre todo, yo creo que nos ha permitido generar clases más colaborativas, saliéndonos un poco de los esquemas tradicionales, rígidos, lo que ha implicado construir conocimiento con los estudiantes
tanto en la universidad como en los cursos de formación que brindamos en nuestra institución.
Estamos muy contentas de pertenecer a esta comunidad de aprendizaje internacional. Deseamos a Taos que siga creciendo en la posibilidad de congregar cada vez más y más personas alrededor del mundo y alrededor de estas prácticas humanizadoras que desde mi punto de vista son una esperanza frente a las situaciones difíciles en las que se encuentran personas que viven en contextos como los nuestros.
Me uno a esta felicitación, a estos 30 años de trabajo ininterrumpido de Taos y que nos está posibilitando, como decía Nelly, incluirnos en una comunidad internacional de aprendizaje que nos enriquece día a día, que nos apoya en nuestro trabajo arduo, difícil, en un contexto como ya lo hemos descrito. Felices 30 años.
Felices 30 años.
I'm Marlene Grandesso, a Brazilian psychologist and coordinator of ICCP in Brazil. During a summer institute in Cancun in June 2009, Harlene invited me to be part of a team to think about an international certification of collaborative dialogical practice, a new program. Besides feeling honored with the invitation, I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to spread the collaboration as a philosophical instance and the dialogue as a way of promoting new possibilities of practice organized by social constructionist ideas in my country. At that moment, the collaborative dialogical practice were not well known in Brazil, and I saw my country as a fertile ground for promoting and develop these ideas and practices. The international team that worked together building the guidelines for the new program gave me security to open the first ICCP program for interface in March 2011. We organized the first ICCP Congress in 2013. In that time, it was a Latin American Congress, gathering more than 250 people together, witnessing a significant increase in interest in only 2 years. By now, we concluded 14 ICCP programs, putting together Brazilian people from several regions of my country, with more than 300 participants. We organized 4 books, at all 128 chapters. The big majority, 72 of them, were written by participants of Interfaces ICCP. So we have too much to thank at Taos Institute and Galveston Institute, and too much to celebrate. Thank you.